For problem number 8 from chapter 14, this one is a little more involved. We've got to do some manipulation before we can get down to the business of figuring out what kind of strategies to use. But let's dig in. We read that Gretchen's Kitchen is a fast food restaurant located in an ideal spot near the local high school. She must prepare an annual staffing plan. The only menu items are hamburgers, chili, soft drinks, shakes, and French fries. A sample of 1,000 customers taken at random revealed that they purchased 2,100 hamburgers, 200 pints of chili, 1,000 soft drinks and shakes, and 1,000 bags of fries. Thus, for purposes of estimating staffing requirements, Lou assumes that each customer buys 2.1 hamburgers, 0.2 pints of chili, 1 soft drink or shake, and 1 bag of French fries. Each hamburger requires 4 minutes of labor. A pint of chili requires 3 minutes, a soft drink or shake and or a bag of fries each take 2 minutes of labor. The restaurant currently has 10 part-time employees who work 80 hours a month on staggered shift. Wages are $400 per month for regular time and $7.50 per hour for overtime. Hiring and training costs are $250 per new employee, and layoffs are $50 per employee. Lou realizes that building up seasonal inventories of hamburgers, or any of the products, would not be wise because of shelf life considerations. Also, any demand not satisfied is a lost sale and must be avoided. 3 strategies come to mind. First one we're going to look at is a level strategy, relying on overtime and undertime, with up to 20% of regular time capacity on overtime. Then we're going to maintain a base of 10 employees, hiring and laying off as needed to avoid any overtime. And lastly, we're going to utilize a chase strategy, hiring and laying off employees as demand changes to avoid overtime. When performing her calculations, Lou always rounds to the next highest integer for the number of employees. She also follows a policy of not using an employee more than 80 hours per month, except when overtime is needed. The projected demand by month, careful here, in number of customers for next year is as follows. So then we're given the number of customers here, but we need to translate that into the amount of time that represents. So we've got to do some manipulation of what each customer buys over here. Now, we are given that each customer, because of the sample of 1,000 customers that she took, she's got an idea that each customer buys 2.1 hamburgers, 0.2 pints of chili, 1 soft drink, and 1 bag of fries. And we know the amount of time that each one of those takes to produce. Therefore, we can come up with a calculation of how much time is required to satisfy each customer. And that would be equal to the quantity times the time for that quantity. 8.4 minutes to make the hamburger, 0.6 minutes to make the chili, 2 minutes for the soft drink, and 2 minutes for the fries. So total value, hit auto sum, and you get 13 minutes per customer. Therefore, the service requirements with respect to time are going to equal 3,200 customers times 13 minutes per customer, and then we're going to divide that by 60 to get that in hours. So 693 hours for January. I'm going to copy that all the way down, and we get the values per month. To 1 decimal place. Alright, so now we have the service requirements given in hours for each month. Now the first one we need to do is a level strategy. As you know, with a level strategy that is going to rely on overtime and undertime, and we can't go past 20% of regular time capacity on overtime. Let's see where our biggest demand is. Looks like the biggest demand is right here in July. So we have to accommodate July with the right number of people. Now the maximum number of hours that an employee can work, if we look back over here at the problem, excuse me, the maximum number that the employees can work is given here as 80 hours per month, and it is mentioned over here that we can have up to 20% of regular time capacity on overtime. So 20% of 80 hours is 16 hours. So I can have 80 hours of regular time and 16 hours of overtime per employee. That's a total of 16 hours. I'm sorry, 80 and 16 is 96. So 96 hours per employee. So let's figure out how many employees are represented by this 1040 hours by saying equals 1040 divided by 96. 10.83, call it 11 employees. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a level strategy with 11 employees. This gives us a monthly capacity of, let's call it regular time. Regular time will be 11 times 80. 11 times 80 is 88. 11 times 80. Oops. 11 times 80 is 88 hours of capacity. $88. Oh, come on, Alice. 11 times 80. There we go. 880 regular hours. So it looks like the 880 hours is greater than what we need in January, February, March, April, May. Looks like I'm going to need a little overtime right here in June. And that will equal what we need minus what we got. So I need 30 hours there. I'm also going to need it here, so I copy that down there. I'm going to need it here. So in those 3 months I'm going to need it, but I've got plenty here. I've got excess labor here, here, and here. So I need overtime in 3 months. So this will be OT for overtime, and this is the number of hours. Here's the number of hours in regular time, and here's the number of hours we need in overtime. Therefore, the total cost for this particular strategy is going to be first a cost associated with regular time. Then there'll be a cost associated with overtime, and since we started with how many workers did we start with? We started with 10 and we needed 11, so we had to hire 1, so there was a hiring expense here too. Alright, so regular time that we pay out is going to be equal to, well, let me do something before I do that. First, let's sum up these columns here by saying auto sum for regular hours is 10,560 regular hours, and if I copy the formula over, I got 220 hours of overtime, so I can go with that. So regular time cost is going to equal the 10,560 times but it's not given to us in hours, is it? It's given to us in $400 per month for regular time per employee. So basically I can go back and say I have 11 employees times 400, and that'll be my regular time expense, but that's per month, so then I need to multiply that times 12 to get the annual expense, which is $52,800. The overtime costs are going to be equal to 220 hours total times what is it, $7.50 per hour overtime, or 1,650, and the hiring expenses were given as hiring and training costs are $250 per new employee, so we have a one-time cost of $250. Total package price is going to be, auto sum those three, $54,700 to staff the restaurant for the year, given these numbers. And that's how we would do the level strategy. In the next video we'll take a look at the part B.